Hi, thanks again for coming back for the tour. I mentioned earlier that the Ross School of Business, that building was somewhat controversial, or at least generated some disagreement over the aesthetics of it. This actually is the most controversial of the photos and the sites that I took a look at, and I'll explain it in a second. So this is the bookstore mural, and it was initially painted in 1984, and it is across from the Michigan Theater, actually also across from the State Theater. So it's on the corner of State and Liberty. So let me give you some background information. Situated kitty corner from the fluorescent glow of the State Theater and just down the way from the light bulb encrusted Michigan Theater, it looms over downtown as one of the city's most prominent pieces of public art. Beautiful and deliberate strokes of red, yellow, and blue accentuate the features of the 5 portraits that are laid upon a contrasting black background, coming together to create colloquially known as the bookstore mural. The memorialized are writers Anis Nin, Franz Kafka, Hermann Hesse, and Edgar Allan Poe, as well as the screenwriter and filmmaker Woody Allen. So painted back in 1984, as I said, by the artist Richard Wolk, a University of Michigan alum, the mural stands on the side of what was originally David's Books and Discount Records. This is from the Michigan Daily. Later, Borders Books was located next to the mural. As reported by the Michigan Daily during the mural's production, Wolk had previous experience creating public art, having painted a mural of famous figures on a record store on South U the year before. He then took his talents to the owner of David's Books, Ed Custer, who commissioned the piece to replace an existing mural that was deemed unsatisfactory by the State Street Association, a merchants group that aimed to increase business in the area. That, as I said, is the Michigan Daily. I can't give you memories and remarks because the controversy was very vocal and the comments were very pointed, and particularly over Woody Allen. So again, this isn't the place for it, but it did create some calls for Mr. Allen's portrait to be removed. And I'm not going to use this as a place to editorialize over that. But perspective in terms of 1984, what was going on, President Reagan, speaking of the Soviet Union, says the fact that neither of us likes the other system is no reason to refuse to talk. Living in this nuclear age makes it imperative. Wise words from Mr. Reagan. In that year, Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi is assassinated by 2 Shiite security guards. Riots erupt and some 2,700 Shiites are killed. Orwell's novel, 1984, it turns out, failed to describe the year, however much as it was intended as a satire on Stalin. Stalin was gone and he had been denounced by his successor, Nikita Khrushchev. This was also the year of the famous 1984 Macintosh commercial. I believe that it debuted at the Super Bowl. This was also the year, 1984, that HIV was identified. The only editorializing I will do on this is that it's understandable. People have a right, obviously, to their opinions in terms of artists. If we, I suppose, dug deep enough into several of those that we respect for their individual talents, we would begin to decimate the number of individuals whose craft we absolutely appreciate. an example in my area. Well, there's so many that are my area, but I'm certainly a big baseball fan. And if you do the history of Ty Cobb, this was not an individual that you would want to invite over for a dinner party. In fact, this is not an individual you would certainly want your children to emulate. His art, if you will, was baseball, and few played the game better than he did. At any rate, we'll just leave it there. Again, thank you very much, and do appreciate the artistic representation, independent of what your political views may be. All right, thank you as always, and please stay tuned. Thank you.